Hello, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we're going to discuss when non-professional executors just don't get paid. Kind of frustrating to watch, but
Yeah, very.
so one of the main drawbacks of using a non-professional executor, a family or a friend, is that they are more likely to lose their executor fees. Right? And this can be despite months, even years of hard and stressful work on behalf of the estate. So we're going to share just a few real-world case study and examples, of course, changed to protect privacy of our folks. And the whole point of this, Janice, is to help folks realize, don't take on for non-professionals, don't take on the executor role necessarily expecting this compensation, like thinking, oh, you know what, it's not. If I do the math, it's a nice piece of change there. Maybe I should just do this. First of all, that's right. Even if you got the full compensation, a lot of executors will still say it's not worth it because of the amount of stress involved. But on top of that, if you don't even get it or get a reduced portion,
nothing.
Super, angst generating, whatever the word is.
Absolutely. I think we did a podcast on. I'm sure we did. We actually broke it down on how much executors actually make
per hour. Right?
We did. So I'm going to put that in. Yeah, because it sounds like, oh, I'm going to get $10,000. That sounds great. Yeah. Then you start breaking it down on how much work you actually do, and it's pennies. It's not even.
I don't know if you remember some of these, Janice, but sometimes folks name somebody in their will as executor, as making that their inheritance. Like, oh, I want to give my buddy let's say $30,000 inheritance, but instead of just saying $30,000 to my buddy, I'll make him my executor, and based on my math, that's what his heir.
He'll get about $30,000.
You're not giving him $30,000. You're giving him a job.
No. This is an actual hard job.
And then second of all, he might not even get it. He might get the work and not the money.
He might not even get it. He's going to do all of this, and then
Okay, so first, let's get into our first example. So in our first example, the family changed their minds and denied his executor fee. Oh, gosh, very frustrating. So let's call him Joey. Joey's aunt passed away, survived by siblings, including Joey's dads and uncles. Okay, so Joey was not even an heir, and he doesn't even live in New York. But because he was, younger and a little bit more financially flexible and savvy, and he was able to defer his upcoming job offer. He was in a best position to run things and focus on the estate. So at the time, the family, I'm going to use air quotes here, gratefully agreed to Joey serving serving as the executor for what was a pretty complicated estate. It was over 3 years.
Yeah.
So Joey moved from California to New York again, and he deferred a job offer. So
real
this was his job.
Right.
And again, he put in 3 years of work. Okay. At the end, I feel like it's obvious, but at the end, what do you think happened?
We're just going to take it, I guess. And then they said, no.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
End, the family, not his father, obviously. Well, not obviously, but in this case, the uncles objected to Joey's commission saying, wait, what? You're getting paid? Like, no, that's not cool. No. I'm like baffled at what the logic is or what the thinking is there. They agreed to it. They were thankful for it in the beginning. They know that he moved and deferred a job offer to do this as his job, but that's what happened.
As his job, for 3 years, not 3 weeks, but 3 years. So, okay, Janice and we were talking about this before. Yes, Joey does have the legal right to fight for and keep his commission, his executive commissions, but that would put his dad in a really tough spot, basically potentially losing his brothers over this. So for the sake of saving family harmony and saving his father's relationship with his with Joey's uncles, meaning his father's brothers, he walked away, albeit a bit bitterly, fairly. Sure. I mean, either way, Thanksgiving dinner isn't going to go great. Whether you're the one who just missed out on payment for 3 years or you're the one that,
And by the way, for any listener who's thinking, oh, well, that family's messed up and my family's not like that.
Oh, no.
No, we see it all. I mean, first of all, this family seemed great and harmonious in the beginning. Everyone's fine, signing documents. Oh, thank you. And again, I'm not blaming anyone. I don't know every side of the story. All I know is it doesn't shake out the way you think it's going to shake out.
Correct. And it's not that happened in the beginning where you could have chosen someone else
Yep.
or, pick somebody else or no, it was at the very, and I mean, very, 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 very end.
Right before checks were going to go out.
I mean, the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of messed up, but I don't know the whole, you can't, I'm sure there's another side to the story, whether or not you would agree with it, but whatever. This is what has happened.
Still, that's a lot of work, I think.
Yeah.
Just, we know we do this day in and day out. Thankfully, I get paid and you get paid for that. But could you imagine doing what we do on a daily basis and then at the end of the week, oh, I'm just kidding.
And then it's your family.
I'm not going to pay you.
That. Yeah, right.
Right. And then it's your family and it feels pretty bad. So,
All right, downer. Downer example number 2. When you have a contested will, you probably will have a contested executor commission. I mean, that seems logical, but it's still annoying. So let's call her Linda. Linda was named executor in her aunt's will. Some family members contested the will, fine, whatever, separate issue. And after some lengthy litigation and negotiations, everyone settled and they sort of revised the breakdown or inheritance. By the way, this is a good example of why you need to do a better job of omitting people from your estate plan.
Yes.
We talked about this before because otherwise you end up in court and in this situation where basically your heirs are deciding for you who gets what. It probably doesn't feel great if you hear it that way.
We'll put that link in there too. That's important. You want to check that out if there's someone you don't want in there.
So during all this time, while this litigation is going on concurrently, Linda, as the executor, was doing all the grunt work for well over a year. I think it was close to 2 years to vacate or to evict tenants. So that was some stressful litigation. Clean out, vacate, repair, and basically deal with this very dilapidated property. It was very stressful because, again, dealing with
a lot of work.
Yeah, probate tenants are the worst. We've talked about.
Yeah.
But again, so she did her job, did a pretty good job. At the very end, when we finally sold this, rehabilitated and sold this dilapidated property, and we have checks ready to go out according to the carefully litigated and negotiated settlement agreement.
Right.
At the very end, again, when Linda has done all the work, the other family member said, "Wait, you shouldn't get an executor's commission." Like, this is, again, after all the work, they know that she's appointed. They know there's a statutory her right to this.
Yep.
So again, Linda has the right to fight in court to preserve her commission, but just like with everything else in the legal system, boo legal system, there's a cost-benefit analysis. Do I pay my lawyers this amount of money to fight for another year to make sure that I get this much more commission? Or do I negotiate with them and reduce it, and then we just walk away unhappy?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what she ended up doing. She just figured out, they settled on an amount of reducing her commission that to her made sense because at least, it was still less than paying lawyers and fighting for another year or two.
Right.
So,
and we saw how hard she worked as an
she worked pretty hard.
It was, again, but it wasn't an easy job to not get paid for. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's the analogy there, Janice? If you worked your 9-to-5 job and at the end of the year, instead of a bonus, there's a reduction. Like,
it's really great that you did all that work this year. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. We're going to take back 50%. Yeah.
All right. Okay, this, you know what? This is becoming more and more of a downer of a conversation.
It is, but you know what though? It is, but I don't think people, when you're planning and thinking of this, that this could happen in these scenarios. When you're thinking, oh my, Mary Jane can take over here and she'll be a great executor, but imagine how much work she's going to have to do. And this could happen if it's not set up right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last one, because I want to move on from this topic.
Well, let's go to something happier.
All right. So in our last example, the court denied her executor compensation. So we have examples where the family backs out, where the family, sort of predictably litigated everything. And then here the court on their own decided to reduce commissions. Okay, so we're going to call her Christy. Christy's good friend named her executor because Christy happened to be a lawyer, and everyone thinks every lawyer knows everything for some reason. I don't know.
Well,
so Christy is not a probate lawyer, but she's a good friend, so she accepted the role. So her friend made a do-it-yourself will. We talked about that before, and this is an example of how that can have some dangers.
Yes.
So when Christy began probate, only then did she learn, after her friend passed away, only then did she learn that because she's a lawyer, even though she's not a a practicing estate lawyer and she wasn't acting as a lawyer for her friend, there's a sort of twist in the rules here in New York that the will needed to have a certain additional paperwork, an affidavit. And in the absence of that additional paperwork or affidavit, which a lawyer prepared estate plan probably would have picked up on, probably, not always. In the absence of that, the court will cut Christie's executor's commission in half, 50% off. What a deal.
Yeah. Super.
So in this case, Christie spent multiple stressful years.
A lot of years.
Dealing with, I think we had some bank snafus and some lost accounts. It was very stressful.
It was a lot, yeah.
On top of that, there were her friends' estranged family members were the heirs, and they were kind of demanding.
That's a great word to use. Yeah.
And for all this hard work on behalf of her pet friend who passed, the court says, no, you get half. So in her own words, Christie said this was not worth it and that she would not have done it again. And it left her, I know hopefully time will heal all wounds, but it left her a bit bitter towards her friend for putting her in such a stressful role.
Yes.
And I don't think
absolutely.
anyone wants to have their legacy or their memory with their good friend, being that way. So this is kind of a warning both on DIY wills and on who you choose as your executor. Just do all that with some thought and with some care. Yeah.
Yes. And then this uplifting podcast today. Now, what is, so in all of this is why we've talked about professional executors, right?
Yeah.
Because most of this here, well, all of it here would be just so different. And, you wouldn't have the family dynamics. You wouldn't be sitting at your holiday dinner table and dealing with this. And there are different rules in place, right, for professional executors. And
I feel like there's a psychological less of I think folks would be less likely to debate a professional's fee than
Correct.
their cousins,
It's either easier to, browbeat like a distant relative, right, than it is, a professional, I think. But just be mindful that this can happen. And you might think that you're giving your friend this great role to carry on your legacy and that it could be ending up pretty poorly for him or her. So, and check out Anthony's book, How to Hire an Executor. This will walk you through some of this stuff and how to avoid it.
Very good. Again, a bit of a downer, but I think it's necessary to point out these potential, unexpected, not so good outcomes. Again, we kind of see into the future only because we've done this so many times and trying to share that with anyone who's interested.
Yeah, because, there's some people that may not know that this happens. Because why would you if you have not gone through it? So hopefully this will give you arm you better when you're creating your estate planning.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks again for all the questions. Thanks, Janice, as always. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will talk soon next time. Bye now.
Talk soon.